nobody wanted to make this movie, Justin. They were all
Really?
like, they're like, it's a great story, but do you know how many powerful people in DC and LA and New York that played in these games would blackball this movie? Like, it's never getting made.
I want to talk about that with you too, actually, with like what
Yeah.
has happened since then. So I saw this Instagram post that you did about the last decade, and going
Yeah.
through getting indicted and then selling, or maybe this is the wrong order, but like selling the book deal and, or writing or trying to get a book deal, being rejected, then finally
Mhm.
selling it, getting indicted. And then, um, it sounds like you've been on quite a journey then after that, and like going through, kind of highs and lows. And I'd love to learn like what happens after the
Yeah.
book ends.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so it's very interesting. I had to end the book abruptly and incompletely because the
Yeah.
publisher wanted it,
Yeah.
and the story hadn't sort of, hadn't resolved yet because I was still waiting to be sentenced
Yeah.
in federal court. So after the feds raided that game and seized all my assets in 2011, um, my lawyers reached out and interesting thing, your property, unlike your person, does not have the presumption of innocence.
Yeah.
So there's this thing called asset forfeiture where they can just take it, and that's what happened. And I didn't want to go on records about anything, and so I just went away, and then tried to put my life back together, went to rehab, and then 2 years later I had finally gotten a job. It took me so long to get a job. Nobody wanted to take my call. The tabloids were covering this stuff, and they people on the street knew that the feds had been involved, and so no one wanted to hire me. And finally I got a job 2 years later, and I'd been working on this book. And I moved back to LA. 5 days after I moved back, I get arrested. 17 FBI agents, semi-automatic weapons, the whole thing. And they put this piece of paper in front of me that says the United States of America versus Molly Bloom.
Oh
Just
my
a
God.
shocking, like, surreal moment, but super unexpected because I hadn't run a game for 2 years. I'd been living this quiet life. And, I didn't know that what they do during that time is they build a case against you. They're building their case. So anyway, the feds want me to cooperate. They want me to be a confidential informant for them. Particularly, their particular interests were the Wall Street people, the politicians, and the celebrities.
Yeah.
And that they offered me a good deal of, we'll give all your money back, keep you out of prison. But every I was in this place because of me, period, end. No one else made the choices. No one forced me to do it. I had made these decisions, having all the opportunities in the world. So I just really knew I needed to stand up for the consequences, and that's how I needed to get through it. I think after you make money, you realize you can make money again.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't exactly know how that was going to work, but once you kind of go through that, you realize that you can do it again. I couldn't ruin people's lives because I had made some bad choices. So anyway, got sentenced, didn't have to go to jail, thank God. But then, I'm in this place where, like, I'm 35 years old. I'm millions of dollars in debt. I'm now a convicted felon. My reputation is destroyed. I how do I get out of this gutter? And so I really thought that I treated it almost like a startup, what the reinvention is, the startup now, like saving your own life. And when I kind of, took real inventory, I realized that the monetizable asset was the story. It
Yeah.
was a unique story. Usually this is the type of story that involves a male lead, you know? And so I knew it was a unique story. So did a lot of research about New York publishing, and then went to Hollywood, and nobody wanted to make this movie, Justin. They were all
Really?
like, they're like, it's a great story, but do you know how many powerful people in DC and LA and New York that played in these games would blackball this movie? Like, it's never getting made.
Huh.
And,
Yeah.
you know, and I was like, all right, well, it's my only way out. So it has to get made. So I just like, I researched, I looked at, I took a million meetings, and what I found out about Hollywood is that there is a short list of writers and directors that Hollywood needs more than they need Hollywood, right? So like, they
Yeah.
can do whatever they want because they're such a rare commodity. The Steven Spielbergs, the Aaron Sorkins, And so Aaron Sorkin was is my favorite writer. He wrote The Social Network and Moneyball and Few Good Men. He was my favorite, and I just knew that if I could get someone like him on this project, that the Frady cats would just comply.
Yeah.
I hoped that was my theory. So I got this meeting with Aaron Sorkin, and went and pitched him my story, and it hit, and he resonated with him, and he made the movie. And so that was the movie gave me, really the second chance.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, it's crazy that it worked.
I love your, one thing it strikes me is that I really love your entrepreneurial spirit and figuring things out. That idea of like, I feel like it's common between the poker game and then the movie, where you're just like, okay, I'm just going to figure out how this world works. And then I'm going to I have a goal, and I'm going to try to build towards that goal.